So greetings to everyone. So today we will start a new chapter of Dharma talks, Dharma class, and as we have discussed and as you have requested, we will go on through the book known as The Words of My Perfect Teacher. I think most popularly known as The Words of My Perfect Teacher, but I think quite closer to the Tibetan understanding is Advice of My Peerless Teacher, or Guru, the advices of my peerless Guru. But anyway, it's more popularly known as My Perfect Teacher, The Words of My Perfect Teacher, and that is also adequate. And so today we will go through this teaching, and the reason, even though there is a vast number of Dharma books out there, the reason we have chosen this is this book is very direct, very practical, and so there was a time back in the day when we can go through vast number of teachings, read through them, contemplate over them, and then gradually practice them. But I think in today's time, in the modern era, what we all need is something practical, something succinct. So something comprehensive, but at the same time practical, and that. So in this regard, The Words of My Perfect Teacher is something that in every page you can find something to practice. In every page you can find something to contemplate. So in this regard, it's a very effective Dharma book, practice book. So therefore, we will be going through this book. I will not explain much. The teaching, as far as the lineage goes, I received this teaching from His Holiness many years ago, maybe over a decade, 10 to 15 years ago. I don't remember exactly. It was in Dharamsala. So I received the teaching from His Holiness, so there is the lineage. And then the book is written by someone called Patrul Rinpoche, and it was more of a footnote of his own. So he actually gives credit to his own teacher for the book, that he wrote that as a footnote to his teachers, the many of the teachings that he received throughout his life from his teacher, over the what is known as the Longchen Nyingti, an essential Nyingmapa teaching. So, and even though in Tibetan itself, it may be more meaningful to go through word by word, but in English, at least to my own experience, it doesn't hold the same meaning and same effectiveness to that extent as of Tibetan. So we will not go through word by word, but we will pick up the points from each paragraph and each lesson here. So first, in order to leave a virtuous imprint, and for the effect, for the purpose of receiving the blessing, I will read the first the praise praise to the Buddha, praise to the gurus, and the praise paragraph in Tibetan first. I will just read it through and then explain who that is for, and then we will begin the actual teaching. So the first is veneration to the teachers, all the teachers that he has encountered in his life. So the first is in Tibetan, the first is a non-conformed sort of prose. Now from then onward, it's a four line way of praising, extolling the virtues of his teachers. So so this is again the veneration to all the teachers. The first one that we just read is in a non-conformed sort of prose, and this is in a conformed prose, so it's four line. So both of them are veneration to teachers in general, all the teachers in general. Now, so this is the second verse in the expanse where all phenomena come to exhaustion. That one. So this is veneration to his teacher Gyalwa Longchenpa. And Khenpe Sheche Kungi Tenis Tuze Wese Duje Pedo Shar Sablam Tekze Temba Tenzeba Ringzin Jingme Lingba La Chatsel. To your wisdom, you saw the true nature of that one is to Ringzin Jingme Lingba, which is his own teacher. So the Jingme Lingba taught the vast essence of the heart essence of the vast expanse, which is written by Longchenpa, and Jingme Lingpa is a student of Gyalwa Longchenpa. So Jingme Lingpa taught that to Patrul Rinpoche, and so Patrul Rinpoche is offering his veneration to Rinzai Jingme Lingpa, his own teacher. Temba yonzo kunjin gyube shu menga nyingbo tsechi sangye shu lamye monju tumon chida nan dambe chala nyalam powa je sela kode tuen sab medo chung sume lame galung manda war rangwo chidar nye shimpi shi hadan lame da yu chingi lobs. So after that, the Lord Avalokiteshvara himself in the spiritual form, I think this is a veneration towards one of the Dalai Lamas. Then after that, the quintessential pit instruction that brings Buddhahood in a single lifetime. So this one is the pledge to compose, write, and finish this book. So whenever it is customary it is mandatory for the Panditas, the scholars of Indian Nalanda tradition, whenever they write a book, they have to have the offerings made to the gurus and the Buddhas and to the merit field. The offerings have to be made to the merit field, and then you have to explain. You have to describe. You have to describe what you are going to explain about, what you are going to write about at the very beginning of the book. So in today's day, this is more like a title. And then you also have to make the pledge that you will. This is like in today's time, it's like making a commitment. So you have to say, I'm going to write and finish this book. So this is making a pledge. So here, in the line where it goes, the writings of the quintessential pith instruction that brings Buddhahood in a single lifetime, the ordinary outer and the inner preliminaries of the path, and additional advice on the swift path of transference. The writings of the omniscient Longchenpa and his lineage content the Buddha's entire teachings, the quintessential pith instructions that bring Buddhahood in a single life. So that one is his Zapetu is explaining that he is going to Zapetu is saying that he's going to explain the quintessential pith instruction, which is Gyewa Longchen Ramjamba's heart essence of the vast expanse. So this book, the words of my perfect teacher, the words are referred to as the words is a reference to the teaching upon heart essence of the vast expanse, written by Gyewa Longchenpa and taught to him by Jigme Lingpa. So this is what he is trying to say. So the last line was, it's a pledge. May the Buddhas and the teachers bless me that I may explain definitively as I have remembered them. So that normally when we listen to somebody, when we listen to a teaching, or when we hear something from someone, our own conceptual thoughts mix up with what we have heard, and then we paint a different picture than the things that we have actually heard from the person that actually spoke it towards us, to us. What Patrul Rinpoche is saying is that he may be able to explain everything without any adulteration, without any mixing up, without that he will be able to explain everything that he heard from his perfect, peerless teacher, so that it will be beneficial to all of us to achieve enlightenment. 그래서 고쳐본 원진님들이 투모 친한기 먼저 남중에 라마 담배 시윤 제다와신 제대로 차원들라 투모 지원으로 되면 나이 먼저 염령무시 차란 힐람 포였잖아 sommes. So now I'm reading through this the paragraph, the last paragraph, which is this faithful record of my peerless teacher's instructions on the general outer and inner preliminaries for the heart essence of the vast expanse from the great perfection is divided into 3 parts. So this book is divided mainly into 3 parts. So in Tibetan, Tumong Chi Ngonro. So here the word ordinary is used. In Tibetan, the word common is used. Common external practices or common external preliminary practices. And instead of extraordinary, in Tibetan, the word uncommon is used. Uncommon internal preliminaries. And as part of the main practice, the swift path of transference. So in summary, the book is divided into 3 main chapters. The outer chapter, the inner chapter, and the chapter on transference. So the 4 main, since it's divided into 3 main chapters, 3 main chapters. The first of the 3 chapters, which is the ordinary or outer preliminaries, that itself is divided into 6 categories or 6 subcategories. So the first of which is the difficulty of finding the freedoms and advantages, the impermanence of life, impermanence in general, then the defects of samsara, the faults, the flaws of samsara, and then karma. Action is a direct translation of the word karma in Sanskrit, from Sanskrit. So act or action, which is the principle of cause and effect, law of causality. Then the benefits of liberation. So if you know the benefits, if you are aware of the benefits, if you are aware of the profit, if you are aware of the the profit that you are making, the benefits that you are making, then you will certainly will be excited to go towards that goal. So therefore, the benefits of liberation, and then how to follow a spiritual friend. So spiritual friend is a direct translation of the Sanskrit word Kalyan Mitra. Kalyan Mitra means, in Tibetan it's translated as Gyeveshinyi. Kalyan Mitra in English it would be virtuous friend. Virtuous friend is a virtuous friend is a synonym for a guru or teacher, because a teacher is someone who anyone who takes you to the virtuous path, who makes the virtue within you grow. That is a teacher, that is a guru in the Dharma perspective, from the perspective of a Dharma practitioner. So therefore, a teacher is also referred to as a virtuous friend, Gyeveshinyi, or in Sanskrit, which is Kalyan Mitra. Kalyan meaning virtue and Mitra meaning friend. So therefore, so in easy. So how to follow a spiritual friend mean how to follow, or how to take a guru. So this is the these are the six main chapters of the first chapter, 6 subcategories of the first chapter, which is the outer preliminary. So now, before we begin with the chapter 1, which is the difficulty of finding the freedoms and advantages, I want to go back to the very beginning, which is this book is, of course, an explanation on the heart essence of the vast expanse, and which is known as, so this book is regarded mainly as a preliminary or Ngondro practice. But one of the very popular misconception is that Ngondro means preliminary. I mean, of course, the direct translation is preliminary. So many people have a way of thinking, a lot of, especially people new to Buddha Dharma, have a way of thinking that it means it is something that should precede the actual practice. So therefore, this is not the actual practice. So the actual practice is something other than this. And once you are already in the actual practice, then you no longer need this preliminary practice, because it is preliminary, meaning something that precedes the actual practice. So therefore, this is a once you are doing the actual practice, which is the main practice, the ultimate practice, then you don't need any of this kind of thing. So that is the misconception. Even though the term used was Ngondro, which is in Tibetan Ngondo Droa, which means to precede, but it does not mean that it is not required during the actual practices. What it actually means is it is mandatorily, it should be mandatorily preceding one's practice. So before one begins any practice, one jumps into the actual practice, one needs to be aware of these instructions. So that is the meaning of the preliminary Ngondro. So over the in the past, I've met quite a number of people who say, okay, I've done Ngondro, now what should I do? And then I've met many people who say Ngondro is too easy, or I mean it's too elementary, too basic. I want to do something more advanced. And in both cases, the the conception is wrong. Both are misconception. If you think that you have done all the wonders, and then you have to look for something else to do an actual practice, that is also a wrong thought, wrong conception, misconception. And if you think that you can skip all the wonders and then jump right into the so-called advanced practices, that is also a misconception. So a very basic example would be a game, a match. So in order to prepare for a match, one would need to train very hard. So if you have, let's say you have a very important game match coming up, you are an athlete, sports person, and you have a very important match coming up, then you will need to train very hard for that. And then on the match day, you will play very hard. The match day may be just 1 or 2 hours. And so from next day, from the day after you have the match, you will not leave your trainings. You will keep on training, because this is not the only match. You will be having more and more matches. So similarly, and the match itself is an integration of the training. When you are playing, let's say, a football match, if you are playing a football match, a soccer match, you are not doing anything other than what you have trained for. When you are in the actual match, you are also playing with the ball. When you are training for the match, you're also playing with the ball and the tactics and all that. The only difference is the situation has changed, the condition has changed. Similarly, the preliminary practices is the training, and the real life out there is the actual practice. So the actual practice is not something ultimate, something secret, something a book that no one can reveal to you until you have done this and that, or maybe you have made such and such donations, or maybe you have given up this and that. No, that is not the thing. The ultimate teaching, or the ultimate sort of the actual practice comes in real life, when you are in face to face with someone you dislike, when you have to make a very difficult decision, when you have to sacrifice something that you do not want to sacrifice, when you have to give up things, when the wind of karma blows in your direction, blows against you. When these kind of things happen, that is your actual practice. This is when your training, the preliminary practices, are put on a test. So that is the actual practice. So the actual practice is not something unique, something secret, something sacred, something high, something that no one can reveal to you. Nothing like that. Nothing. So that in this regard, when you are in the actual match, you integrate what you have trained for during the training hours into the very match that you are playing. So similarly, the preliminary practices has to be integrated into the very life, very actual place of life. When you are in face to face with the place of life, place of karma, you have to put your training, put your preliminary lessons into practice. That's why it's called practice. Now, so the first chapter, which is the difficulty of finding the freedoms and advantages. So there is the main subject of the chapter, the teaching on how difficult to find is. Okay. So this is a reference to the rarity, the preciousness of a life, human life, sorry, the preciousness of a human life. So human life is endowed with 8 freedoms and 10 advantages. Not all human lives are endowed with such freedoms and advantages. So here is a reference to the 8 freedoms and 10 advantages that most human beings enjoys. So being able to distinguish things, being able to listen to the Dharma, being able to meet the Dharma teacher, and so this and so on and so forth. In other life, in other in other realms, lives in other realms such as the God realm and the Hell realm and so on and so forth. In some of them you don't have the advantages, some of them you don't have the freedoms. For example, if you are born in the Hell realm and so on and so forth, you will be so busy carrying your duties, and duties meaning being subject to torture and so on and so forth. And when you are born in the God realm, you have so much luxury, and so you get carried away, and that you think nothing is wrong, everything's perfect, so there is no need to practice, or no need to no need to contemplate on the preciousness of the life that one has. So therefore you would waste thousands of years thousands and thousands of years. God is supposed to live for thousands of years, so you waste your lifetime, and at the time of your death you realize and you regret at the same time that you have made a big mistake. So anyway, so human lives has the ability to have those human lives in general are endowed with the freedoms and the advantages. So therefore, most of us, all of you who are listening to this teaching, who will be listening to this teaching, who is listening to this teaching, and many of us are endowed with the 8 freedoms and the 10 advantages. So therefore, we should recognize those, and then we should take this opportunity to practice the Dharma. And in order to practice the Dharma, we have to listen to Dharma teaching. And so the next chapter, the first chapter, subcategory of this chapter is the proper way to listen to a spiritual teaching, or Dharma teaching. And it has 2 aspects, the right attitude and the right conduct. Okay, so I think I will stop here for today. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to respond to that.
We don't have any questions today yet, Rinpoche.
Okay. Then, so we have still, I think, 10 minutes left, I think. So shall we continue then?
Yes, Rinpoche, please continue.
So I've decided to talk for 45 minutes and then give 15 minutes for Q&A. So now we have 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so I will cover the rest.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Now, within the subject, the subject of attitude to listening to the Dharma practice. The proper way to listen to a spiritual teaching, there are 2, right? One is the attitude, or most of the time we use the term motivation, the right motivation, and attitude is also the right term here. So the right attitude or the right proper motivation, same thing. The right attitude combines the vast attitude of the bodhicitta. So this we have done already. That's the reason in Tibetan, any of the Tibetan teachings or any Tibetan religious activities, spiritual activities, we start with Sangye Chodang, Soge Chonam, Chanju Pato, Dane Gyapsuchi, which is that I prostrate to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and I take refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, so that I be able to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. So what happens here is that when you have that right motivation or right attitude, We have a saying in Tibetan, "Todanila chawanyi," 2 important acts in any activities. 2 acts in any activities. The first is the attitude or the motivation, and the last is the dedication. So motivation and dedication is very important. Very important in the sense that you have to have the right motivation and the right dedication. When you first begin, you have to begin it with the motivation to help to achieve enlightenment for all sentient beings. So when you have that goal, when your goal is that high, when your goal is that of attaining enlightenment, not just any realization which is very hard by itself, not just any realization, not just the nirvana or arhathood, but the ultimate nirvana or the ultimate goal of enlightenment, or Buddhahood. The goal itself is vast. The goal itself is very impressive. And at the same time, the goal, not just the goal, but the purpose of why you want to achieve enlightenment is also impressive, because you are not doing it for yourself, which is just one person. If you talk about the human life, there are 7 billion human beings at least, and you are only one of them. So when you work for all sentient beings, of course 7 billion human beings are there, your families are there, your friends are there, your fellow countrymen are there, earthlings are there, everyone is there. And on top of that, your favorite cat, your favorite dog, your favorite pet animal, your whatever, everything that you love and care of is all included in there. And with such, so you are aiming for the ultimate goal of enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, everything other than yourself. So that is immense. So therefore, the attitude itself is highly impressive. And so it is important to have that attitude or that motivation, the proper motivation of Buddha, bodhicitta, the proper motivation of bodhisattva, which is the bodhicitta, mind induced with bodhicitta. Yeah. So when you have the proper motivation, any small activity, any minor activity that you do with that proper motivation, that act itself becomes a spiritual act. That act itself becomes a Dharma practice. So that is why Dharma practice is not constrained by religious activities alone. So, for example, if you with this proper motivation, right? For example, with you recite the Sangye Chodang Soki Chodang Machanju Potodani Kyapsuche, and you not just recite it from your mouth, but also contemplate it with your mind, that you are doing it for the sake of all sentient beings. Then a small act, a minor act, and an ordinary act, such as something as breathing in and out. When you breathe in and breathe out, you are practicing Dharma. You are, because when you, for example, if you have the proper motivation to achieve enlightenment, and then in order to achieve enlightenment, I need to train, I need to practice. In order to practice, I need this body, and to sustain this body, I need to breathe. I need to breathe in and out. I need to drink. So I need to. So there are so many things. Any minor activities, any ordinary activities can become a spiritual act with the proper motivation. So I'm drinking this water to sustain my body, so that my body can sustain my mind and my practices to achieve enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Then the minor and ordinary act of drinking water and breathing in and out has become a profound practice of bodhicitta. Drinking water or breathing in and out may not be a religious practice, but it is a spiritual practice and it is a Dharma practice. It can be a Dharma practice if you are up for it. And Dharma basically means to uphold. And so there are many things to uphold, many ways to uphold things. And normally when we talk about upholding or Dharma, we are talking about upholding the mind, upholding the stream of the stream of mind or stream of our consciousness, so that the stream of our consciousness can progressively advance from imperfect to perfection. So in this regard, let me finish today's talk by reading the last line of today's this paragraph, the last paragraph of this topic, the vast beatitude of the bodhicitta, which here Master Lama Patrul Rinpoche says, no matter how many teachings you have heard, to be motivated by ordinary concerns such as desire for greatness, fame, or whatever, is not the way of the true Dharma. So, first of all, it is important to turn inwards and change your motivation. If you can correct your attitude, skillful means will permit your positive actions, and you will have set out on the path of great beings. If you cannot, you might think that you are studying and practicing the Dharma, but it will be no more than a semblance of the real thing. Therefore, wherever you listen to the teachings and whenever you practice, be it meditating on a deity, doing prostrations and circumambulations, or reciting a mantra, even a single mani, it is always essential to give rise to bodhicitta. And we give rise to the bodhicitta by having the right motivation of achieving enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Okay, so two important acts of any activities, right? The last one, first one is motivation, second one is dedication. Let's do the dedication. Again, we dedicate towards all our merits, we dedicate towards the merit field of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Oh yeah. Gyawa di nyodo da lama sanje jogyo jowa che jang ma le ba ye ye sa la ge para